Good morning, everyone. I call this meeting of the Portsmouth Economic Development Authority of the City of Portsmouth to order. Again, so good to see everyone again. It seems like a long time between meetings. Some of us have seen each other from our passing, but this is very important times and very important things that that will come before us, even not only today but here out as far as the end of the year goes, and the things that we have on our table and we will hope to put on our table. So at this time, as normal, we'll turn the meeting over to our secretary to take us through the agenda.
Okay, thank you, Chair, and good morning, Commissioners, Councilman Battle, City Manager Jones. We will start with the roll call. Mr. Barber.
I'm here.
Ms. Drury.
Here.
Mr. Mitchell. Mr. Brown.
Here.
Mrs. Saunders Smith.
Here.
Ms. Smith.
Here.
Good morning. And Chairman Smith.
Here.
Chair, we do have a quorum. Your next item is the approval of your March 22nd regular meeting minutes, which were sent out to you on Friday. If you have any questions or comments to this.
So we'll move.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Barber and a second by Mrs. Saunders Smith. I will do the roll. Mr. Barber.
Aye.
Ms. Drury.
Yes.
Mr. Brown.
Yes.
Mrs. Saunders Smith.
Yes.
Mrs. Smith.
Yes.
And Chairman Smith.
Yes.
The minutes are adopted. The next item is your March 2022 financial report. We have Ms. Flora Barisha here.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'll be presenting the financials for the month of March 2022. And what we have in the first slide is a balance sheet report showing the EDA's authority wealth. And during the month of March, EDA was quite busy. So they executed the sale of the land contract, and also they paid off 3 loans. It was pretty successful events. So on top of the page, all this, what I just explained is being translated on the first page of this financials. Go on top of the page, please. So if you see under cash, they got 7.1 million in cash flow more than was last year, which is the third row of this slide. And then if you go down there, you'll see that the loan was paid off. The 7 million of EDA loan were paid off during this month. And the net position just for this year was 8.6 million better than last year. Overall is 1.7 million better than since the inception. So the second page is an income statement, which is just this year activity. And the top 2 rows shows that 9.1 million during 2022 were gained during the activity from the sale of land. And overall, including every activity down the page, you'll see that 9.1 million is profitable. Change of net position is 8.7 million, and everything that including liabilities and all assets is 22.6 million. The next page, it's every land that EDA holds right now. And the total of all this land is somewhere 12.4 million. Next page is the activity. This is the land. These are the lands that were sold during 2022. And the gain and loss from all these sales is 9.2 million. The next slide. This is year-to-date budget. Is where they are during this year. So far, 3.7 million profitable. Next slide. These are the grants. Every grant that the EDA awarded. And the first page is the business development grant. The second page, next page. It is separated into the real estate investment, start smart business development, and smart start, business acceleration. And the last column, it is respectively 150,000, 6,000, and 15,000 to be paid. Another page. That's it. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer.
The grants awarded page that covers just the month for the month of March.
Everything. It's accumulated. So that last page should show what was awarded, what was paid, and what's outstanding to be paid. The last column was the amount that's supposed to be paid.
And Commissioner Brown, we will have an update. We'll do a little bit of a deeper dive on the business investment grant program under the new business section of the agenda this morning. So we'll go into a little bit more detail on that.
Thank you.
As well.
Clear, any more questions?
Great. Before we move on to old business, I would like to recognize a few guests that we do have with us this morning. Michelle Wren with the Portsmouth Partnership and Bloom Coworking is here with us this morning. She will be making a presentation in a few minutes, obviously here in the room now. In addition to that, we have Mrs. Toy Hunter with the Hampton Roads Alliance, who is joining us as a guest this morning. Toy, thank you for coming.
Thanks.
And of course, everybody knows Ms. Sai here, one of our citizens. So thank you for coming as always. I also have an announcement that I'd like to share with you all, which I wanted to make you aware of as we're having some changes here in our team here in the very near future. Unfortunate to announce that we are losing a team member here in the month of May. Ms. Osborne has accepted a position in the private sector, which she will be departing for on May 6th. So wanted to recognize her and thank her for her time here with Portsmouth Economic Development and the city. She is one of the many valued team members here that we will miss greatly. She's been a tremendous help in the time she's been here. We've said it before, and I'll state it again. All of our accomplishments have been realized by the team members that we've had on board. So when we share a lot of the successes and wins that we've had, like the fantastic year we had last year, achieving $469 million in new investment, that wasn't done by any one person. That was done by a team effort, including the board, as well as our departmental team members. So want to thank you, Jenny, for your service and assistance since you've been on board. I'm not sure if you have anything you'd like to say.
Ray wants me to speak up. No, I don't. I just want to say thank you, and it's been great to work with everyone. And this will be my last EDA meeting with you, and appreciate all the efforts that the board makes to continue the progression here in Portsmouth. So thank you for that.
Thank you for your time. And I'd just like to say too, we're gonna miss you. Jenny and I got to know her way back in the 30s and the 40s. She was with the partnership, and so I was glad to see when she came aboard with us, and we're gonna miss her. But we wish you the best, and whatever it is you do, and we know you will. So thank you.
He meant I was in my 30s and 40s,
All right, moving on to old business. We did want to provide an update on the business incentives workshop. which was held on March 31st at Tidewater Community College, the morning of the 31st. We had a really successful event and a pretty impressive turnout. We had over 30 individuals who attended the workshop and got some really great feedback from those who participated. Again, we were covering the local and state incentive programs. This is something that historically we had been doing annually. Because of COVID, we hadn't had the opportunity to do that, but we are getting back to that. And we'll continue to do so going forward. It was an interesting mix of the 30 so odd attendees that we had. A third of those were existing businesses who had been in Portsmouth for some time. Another third were individuals who were in the process of starting a business. So we were able to engage with those folks and really kind of bring them up to speed on what grant opportunities they had available to them. The third group, and the last third, was made up of individuals who are looking to start a business, so in the early stages, which I think was both helpful for them as well as our team to begin assisting them very early on in the process. Starting a business can be sometimes a challenging process, so engaging very early on, I think, helps to make it smooth for them. And also for us, as we are able to assist them in kind of guiding them and holding their hand, making sure that they have the proper direction on how to move forward and start a business. So again, very successful turnout, a lot of positive feedback. There will be another event planned here in the near future this spring, which will be a follow-up, and that will be essentially how to start a business, working through the city processes that I had just mentioned. So engaging with planning and zoning team members here at the city, as well as the permitting office and also our Commissioner of Revenue's office. Really kind of learn the ropes and how to navigate the channels of opening business in the city of Portsmouth. And that date, I think, has yet to be published, but will be forthcoming here very soon. So a good follow-up to the initial meeting that we had to ensure that we're properly engaging and continuing to be active in the business community. So wanted to share that update with you. The next item is the planned EDA City Council joint meeting, which is scheduled for April 26th at 5 p.m. That will be held at City Hall in the 6th floor conference room, City Council conference room. And, Chair, I don't know if you have anything you'd like to add.
Just a real quick overview. And for those of you who may not have participated in an event like that, where this will be our first time as an EDA to be able to sit around the table, and we've been told that we'll get approximately an hour and a half, and so in the way we tend to approach it, once we get the opportunity to make our presentation. Of course, council will roll call and things, the preliminaries and whatever the mayor or council members want to approach it. Once we get an opportunity to talk to them, it's my intent to kind of open it up and state the purpose of why we asked for the meeting and what to look forward from us. And then once that's over, then you will have an opportunity, if you choose to directly, ask council any questions that you want to ask, and hopefully it'll be a dialogue back and forth, and there won't be any formal presentations, any PowerPoints or anything like that. It's just going to be a plain sit down talk. And of course, our city manager will be there too, and she's been made aware of what our expectations are in the meeting, and so it's really about council and the EDA. So she'll be there just to run interference, I guess, for whomever, for council. But she says she just wants to be a fly on the wall. You know how that might go. But, So that's what we look forward to, and hopefully it'll be fruitful and it'll be an opportunity for, us to let them know what we think, and hopefully all of the council members will be there. Councilman Bowell.
Did you think that I might need to know your expectations so I could be a fly on the wall
Well,
or run interference,
yeah.
whichever?
Well, we can make that happen, because I do, have a plan, and I do know. So yeah, if you would like, yes.
Would you like for me?
Huh?
Would you like for me? Would you extend me that opportunity? Do you think that I should?
You should. You're the council representative for this
Yes.
for this body, so you should be very well versed on what's happening with this body.
Yes, and I apologize.
No.
I didn't.
This is not a perfect world, and I'm not looking for perfection. I'm just looking for inclusion.
Right, that's right. So I will make that happen
Yes.
so
Thank
that you and I, can talk. And I'll also have to extend that to our other liaison, Vice Mayor Barnes, but I'll do it individually so that we can, if there's any questions or concerns, we can, find them out then. But yeah, I'll gladly do that. Okay. And any of y'all have any questions or about the event?
I think you covered it. I mean, that was mainly my question, was how the float was going to go.
Right. And that's what we expect. That's what's hopefully it'll go that way, but things will go the way they go based on comments and the room atmosphere.
What is our goal as a body in speaking with them?
Just mainly to let them know that the EDA wants to take an active role in future development and actually go out and try to meet with developers and entertain development opportunities. Because anything that we do will always end up back at the council.
Right, and that was going to be my recommendation when we met with them, is that they send out RFPs to for acceptable proposals, because every proposal we gotten thus far have been unsolicited and as a result rejected somewhere along the line.
Right.
But if we solicit proposals, the proposals we get are going to be entertained a little with a little more zeal, I guess.
Yeah. We control properties, and now we do have some finances available that we can reach out and offer. If you can recall, we were just about prepared to put out an RFP for the Holiday Insight, but we kind of held it back. So, but we will be looking at reaching out, and we just want to make them aware that we're going to be doing that. Yes, sir.
Maybe the director can explain to the body the difference in the different proposals, the solicited and the unsolicited proposals, because there are guidelines that govern each one. So I think the body should be well versed in the differences between and the advantages for the city and for the developers.
Right. We all good? Okay. All right.
Okay.
Moving along.
Yes, your next item is the RFP for commercial real estate services. This is a item that we've had under discussion for a little time now, and I'm pleased to announce that the RFP for commercial real estate services was advertised actually yesterday. The purchasing office has posted that, and that will remain open until May 17th, which is the deadline for proposals. Again, we are seeking a commercial real estate service provider for assisting the EDA in the acquisition and disposition of real property, to assist in identification, negotiation, and selection of property on on the EDA's behalf. We would expect that the negotiations and selection of a provider be made by July, with a contract date sometime to be determined in August. That is an item that would come before the EDA for your review and approval.
Where's it posted?
The posting goes to EVA, which is the state's procurement site.
Okay.
It's also accessible to the city as well.
What do you anticipate be the process of selection? In other words, how will you review the proposals and what role will we have in that review?
There is an established criteria that essentially is related to their experience and history providing similar services. Again, we're speaking of commercial brokerage services. And that will be, it's a set list of criteria that they would need to meet. In terms of the review and selection process, there will be a city-appointed review panel consisting of the city's procurement office and then some identified panel members, likely an individual from the economic development office and other pertinent offices within the city that would likely potentially include the city attorney's office as well.
And where did you say that was posted? I'm sorry.
EVA, it's the state procurement website. All of the city's procurement postings are.
So, Neil, were you advocating one of us being part of that? Is that why you asked that question?
I hope that there would be some participation, from the EDA as a part of the review and selection process.
So I think historically, boards and commissions have not participated in the procurement process. That's a similar situation with city council and other.
Let me ask
appointed.
a further question, please. Who is in other words, is the EDA the primary recipient of the services of this consultant?
Yes. This would be specifically for properties
That we represent.
acquired or owned by these.
Yeah. Then I believe, and personally, that we should have a role in the selection.
Is that an issue, Jeff?
Well, I can tell you that it's been done both ways in the past. I can tell you that that there was one procurement where there was board member participation. That was difficult. The city's procurement process is set up to have a professional. That's Gloria Taylor now. Formerly it was Mike Ammons, running the process, reviewing the RFP, keep it at a staff level so that there is no question of politics being involved in the selection. I will tell you that at one point in one procurement with the EDA board member participation, there was an issue with the smoothness of the procurement process, which is not to say that anyone here would do anything untoward, but it is the city's definite preference to keep procurement at an administrative level. And that goes for city procurement also. I mean, council in general has no involvement in actual procurement. It just determines a need, procurement takes place, and then there's appropriation.
Excuse me. Could you speak up, please?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah. So what I was saying, Councilman Battle, is that it's the city's procurement, and the code is set up this way. The city's preference, as demonstrated in the code, is to keep procurement at an administrative level, where the governing body determines the need and appropriates funding, but the actual procurement is done by the procurement administrator, who in this case is Gloria Taylor, formerly Mike Ammons, who retired last year, and they administer the process. So it is our strong recommendation, but it's not if the board wishes to go another way, the board can go another way, but we don't recommend.
What do you mean go another way? You mean with the whole process or?
The board could have a board member be part of that process because it is a little bit outside the city's code procurement process. But again, we don't recommend that.
Okay, so, how does other board members feel about it? You think
Are they, when they put it, when they come through Eva, because I've worked with Eva before on, RFPs, are the procurement, board, are they going to then give us like their top 3, their top 2, or are they just going to say this is the one we suggest?
They would do the whole procurement process and suggest a,
Do they suggest or they select?
well, they select one.
So they select one to vote for and then we vote on it, but really we're just voting on the one they.
That's right.
If they ever included, what's the liability involved?
Well, obviously, if anyone involved in the procurement process were to do something unethical or, and whether a board member or not, then there could potentially be some liability. I don't think there's any particular liability per se from having an EDA board member versus not having an EDA board member.
What I mean to say is, what is the process for them to be included? Did the council have to do a vote on it? Or if they're included, there's no liability with all things being equal and normal?
The latter. Yeah.
So basically, I guess if the majority of us, and I'll let you, well, you go first.
Normally I'd never, ever, ever go against what the city attorney's office says. But in this case, I think it is unique enough, and definitely to Councilman Battle's point, that you're the ones that are going to be charged with administering this contract. And so I think there is room for involvement, whether it's setting the criteria and the points associated with the contracts, and or having a representative on the review panel. I just think that's a given.
Or are also the ones that will be paying them.
Exactly. So
And that's why, and what I was gonna get at, if we all felt that somebody should be there, then we're gonna expect that. If the majority of us want that, require that, then
And I can see not having myself, that person being in the real estate market, where I would,
Because of relationships.
feel like that I could add value, but I can see where the perception could be,
No, that's your call.
because I have done commercial real estate. So I wouldn't want someone saying that I was an influencer.
I believe that if there's a process in place that allows them that we have a review panel process, we should stick to the process. All of the points that we want to make as a body are going to be included in the RFP in any way. Everything that we want included for this is going to be included in the RFP. And the selection, the review committee is going to, I'm assuming they're going to be thorough in their selection and their review of these candidates and pick the best ones for us. So I kind of got a little faith in the system as opposed to putting a
personal.
Right.
well, I would like us to have a representative on the review panel.
And I know Neil does, and
I do. I think we should.
you do. Yeah, so that's already majority, so. How about appointing you, Neil? You started.
Yeah, it was your idea. Way back.
That's what happens when you speak up.
I should have kept my mouth shut, right?
Okay, Jeff?
Yeah, I mean, you can do it.
Okay, all right, well. So.
And I actually think Neil's a great choice.
Because Brian will be part of it too, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and so you can get with him and.
We'll coordinate.
Yeah, we will absolutely coordinate. If that's your choosing and desire, we will coordinate and have Mr. Barber participate as a panel member, I will notify the city's purchasing.
Yeah. And just for the record, I think so too. So.
Okay, moving on to new business, we do have, again, a presentation from Bloom Coworking. Michelle Wren is here. And I'm going to turn it over to you, Michelle. This is, again, you had asked for some guest speakers, and this is the first. So, Michelle, you're the first one here with this new guest speaker program that we're going to be doing. Looks like on a monthly basis, but the floor is yours.
Thank you, and good morning. And the first guest speaker, I appreciate Chairman Smith and all the commissioners having me here today and giving me the opportunity to explain what the Portsmouth Partnership is doing and our latest initiative with economic development. And super excited to explain Bloom Coworking. So I'm going to work this. I'm going to have my glasses on and off. So sorry, as Chairman Smith reminded me today, I am a dinosaur, which means I'm a reader. Anyway, so the Portsmouth Partnership has been working on the idea of co-working space, a entrepreneurial ecosystem, actually since 2014. So submitted the first white paper in 2014 to the board before my time, and has kind of launched and pitched ideas and cultivated the idea until finally we landed on Bloom Coworking in 2019. And we worked for quite some time with economic development team, which was fantastic, kind of establishing where. So economic development team already had an idea of where they wanted an ecosystem, and it worked well for the partnership to put an ecosystem for entrepreneurialism in the city of Portsmouth, located Montgomery Square. It's a 20,000 square foot space. Used to be the Bloomberg department store. It's been vacant for over 20 years. So will be determined as a spot blighted property, even though the adjacent properties were already developed. Just looking for the right business to go in there. We started working with Breeden at that point, working out negotiation of leases, and then working with HBA to develop plans to produce this co-working space. And then, of course, everybody knows that COVID hit. And so we kept working on co-working, even though it was very counterintuitive to start talking about co-working and shutdowns all at the same time. But that actually launched our business a little bit quicker than we had planned. And we opened our temporary space, which is at 719 High Street, in November 2020. So in the middle of the pandemic, as everybody was kind of mass exiting out of corporate America, people were rethinking their lives. There were a lot of startup businesses. And as a board, the partnership decided that they did not want Portsmouth to miss out on all of this entrepreneurial opportunity. Really wasn't a lot of space for entrepreneurs in Portsmouth. A small space over on the other side of the interstate, inking hub that housed some small businesses, but really not this entrepreneur ecosystem to help with education and support small business. And again, all the other cities had all of these ecosystems, and we just felt like Portsmouth was going to miss out on the opportunity to attract small businesses. And so, 2 out of every 3 private sector jobs are created by small businesses. So again, didn't want Portsmouth to miss out on this opportunity. So we launched our temporary phase. And so there's some pictures of the inside. I know several commissioners came over and saw the space, which I was really excited to show it. I really invite anybody to come over and see our space. We're really proud of it. And we are home now to 97 small businesses called Bloom Their Home, which has been great. Really, really great growth. A lot more growth than we really felt that we were going to have. So we are really trying to eliminate barriers of entry for minority-owned businesses. So I am proud to say that our membership is 97% women or Black-owned businesses. So we really have eliminated barriers to entry. We do that intentionally. We have partnerships with several different educational programs that are intentional to help minority, low-income businesses be established in Portsmouth and also give them wraparound services to make sure that they succeed. A lot of businesses don't succeed from the get-go because there are a lot of barriers for them. Capital is one big, huge barrier. So I really applaud this commission for actually doing the small business startup grant, because again, capital is a huge problem for small businesses. So I think that's just a huge asset that the city is offering. So that was our first temporary space. And then we were awarded a Go Virginia grant in June of 2021, and we launched our Startup Stability Program. I'm really proud of this program. Again, we brought in 40 entrepreneurs. We had several in Norfolk, and then 26 in Portsmouth. And with Go Virginia, you do have to have a different locality, so we did have to share the money with Norfolk. But we picked Percolator that is kind of a little more mission minded like we are, that we're trying to eliminate barriers for small business. So we brought in 44 businesses, 26 in Portsmouth. We also partnered with Black Brand and offered educational services. And I'm proud to say that 72 people actually took the educational programming. So we had over 80 applicants. We offered space to 44 businesses, but yet offered education to 72. And so then because of that, we had a good problem. Once we were awarded the grant, we were actually out of space. So we launched a secondary space. We invested more capital into a secondary space to launch our Startup Stability Program. And that's been fantastic. We've got so many great testimonies with some of these businesses that really they couldn't have initiated or launched their business. A lot of them were pre-revenue without the space. They couldn't have gotten the state licenses they needed because they needed a physical location. Sometimes your home-based business, they can't get the licenses they need so that they need office space. And so we were able to provide that with a lot of businesses. And then we also didn't lose sight of our primary goal, and that was that Gateway, Effingham and High Street. Again, that's always been our visionary space. And so we still have been raising money for this space, which I appreciate the grant that this board gave us in part of this process. So we launched a $1.3 million campaign. It started off as $1 million campaign, and COVID's made it challenging. So we are now at $1.3 million campaign, and I'm hoping to get in and to stop the raise of the campaign. But we have raised over $834,000 to date. So we still have a little ways to go. But, we're very fortunate, again, to get the money from a lot of different foundations, from this board, and we're still working on stopping that gap. And so it said, this is what the space looked like prior to us taking it over, and then it's more before. So you can see that it needed a lot of work. So a whole lot of work. So I know when we first walked in, it was hard for people to see what the space was going to look like. But it's been very exciting, the process. So there we go. So here's the vision of what we're creating. So you saw the before pictures. That's High Street right there. Back to High Street, and now we're coming up on Effingham. So this is that corner. So we'll have 30 closed door offices in here, plus a lot of open co-working space. And more closed door offices. We've got a conference room that'll seat 55, which will be fantastic. We get a lot of use out of the conference room with our businesses. And this is, so the Montgomery Square building is 20,000 square feet. We're only taking the first 10. We are hoping to take the next 10 within a couple of years if our growth continues. We figured if we had 97 businesses in our temporary space, then hopefully we could double that in our permanent visionary space. And that's the open co-working area. And then we have a podcast room that we've created, more collaboration area. And then there's more offices as you come back down. So now we're heading back down to High Street. Again, it's a really modern feel. I've taken an old piece of property and have tried to put it to its best use. I would say our space is going to really be really comparable to Gather. Love to say Assembly, but that's a pretty nice space. So we didn't put $2 million in it. We're 1.3 so far, but anyway, again, a real modern feel to the space and a nice place that businesses can meet with their clients, call home. We are month to month on our leases, so that's one of the ways we eliminate barriers. So a small business coming in and to have a lease for a year for a closed-door office is really intimidating, and it's also a huge financial commitment. So we allow people to move in and out of our space as they feel, with literally month to month. That is one of the ways we have reduced barriers to entry for these small businesses. So you can come in and get a closed-door office at first, and then decide, you know what, this was too much. I can't afford it. I don't have the revenue that I need. And so they can move into then just a desk or into a shared space and then move back up into a closed door office. Or sometimes they move in and they start off with a mailbox, they start creating revenue, they go to a desk and then move into a closed door office. So it's very nice for people to be able to move about the space. You can come in as little as a day pass. So again, eliminating barriers, having businesses in and making sure that they're successful with all of the educational pieces that we're doing. And so this is where we are now. So hopefully, which is kind of, the pictures don't really show it justice, but you can kind of see now where it's all taking shape from the first pictures to where we are now. We are hoping to be in by mid-June. So anyway, they should be turning the building over to us the middle of May, and then we start with the flooring and moving all of our glass and furniture in to create the end product. So yeah, that is what we're doing. It's been very exciting, and really encourage everybody to come down. The small businesses that we have are amazing, and again, their testimony for those who were in our startup stability program, and even those just using the space, the growth that they've been able to accomplish. It's been really rewarding to listen to their stories and help. Any questions?
Yeah. A couple of questions. Of the businesses that you've already served, sort of, what is the graduation rate and sort of how, then give us a little bit of there, and where do they go once they graduate?
Oh, sure. So it's funny when I describe ourselves, we're co-working. We have a bit of an incubator feel to us because of all of our educational pieces. We don't have a graduation.
Okay.
It is not a limited time. Unlike some of the accelerator programs like the 757 Accelerate that have, you come into a program, you stay 6 months, and then you leave. We let our businesses gauge where they want to be based on what their goals are. We don't put goals on those businesses. They're their own goals. There are some people who have opened their own business. They're single proprietary and they're happy. They don't want an employee. They left corporate America. They started their own business for a reason because they wanted to kind of simplify their life. COVID did that to a lot of people. There are other people that have come in and they're a single person and they want a huge staff. And so they'll grow. And so, for businesses like that, what we'll do with those is as they grow and they've added employees, we've got team offices so they can add employees. Once they're ready for what I call real estate, I will send them over to the economic development team. I send people over all the time and just say, hey, you need to talk to our economic development team. Let them identify where your business would prosper, like what type of property you're looking for. So we don't kick people out, I guess. The Startup Stability Program, they will graduate from that July 1st, but they don't have to leave our space. That was subsidized rent for them through the Go Virginia grant. So the subsidy started July 1st, and it was a scaling subsidy all the way through a year. The idea was to bring a business in, to prop them up, to stabilize them, to educate them, and then hopes that they would be ready for full space where they could hold it on their own by the end of the year. And so far, that's worked really well.
Do you have a sort of an overview of the types of businesses that you are attracting into the program?
Yeah, it's been interesting because it's really run the gamut. We've got programmers, we've got blockchain, we've got healthcare, we've got Chick-fil-A, which is always an interesting one. They have 2 offices. We have real estate agencies, we have marketing companies. I've got photographers, no manufacturing, but got retail where they're doing, this is where they kind of run, run their back end of their business, but it's an all retail piece. So it really runs the gamut of a broad spectrum of a lot of different businesses.
Okay. First of all, I'm so excited about it. This is something that I really want to happen in the city of Portsmouth. So we are very happy about it. One, are you able to share your rent structure fees for us? And then secondly, is there ability for a nonprofit to come in and rent for the day? Or, if they needed space for a meeting and so forth?
Oh, absolutely. So, yes, we love nonprofits to come in and use our meeting space. It happens all the time. So our rent structure, it starts from $25 from a mailbox all the way up to a team office, which is $649, and our new space will be $699. So you can be in a closed door office for $399 a month. That is month to month, and that includes anything and everything. So that's your Wi-Fi. That is, we have someone to greet your guests. So as they come in, coffee. It's funny because a lot of spaces, everybody asks when we tour the spaces, the coffee free. Yes, the coffee's free. It's charge for coffee. All of your copies, so up to a certain number, scanning, mail services. So it really runs the gamut. So for $399, that's all you pay. And then again, depending on the size of office, it starts up from there. You can also be for $99 a month, you can come in and use any open co-working space. So not a closed door office, but just open area. And then you can also be with the $99 a month, we have meeting rooms, private meeting rooms. So you just schedule those, they're free of charge, and you go in and take a client meeting. So you can still have privacy, you can still take phone calls. And our new space will have 2 phone booths, which I'm really excited about. We already have a little nook that you can go in and take private calls if you're in the open co-working area. We'll also have 2 phone booths. So again, for $99 a month, it's really great access to space. And we're very low in the market. We are under market price, and we do that for a reason. We're a nonprofit. We are here to help small business. And so that's our mission. And so we can be under market rate because of that.
I have a question. Is that location HUD zone? So businesses are HUD designated businesses and decide to move there, will they still be able to take advantage of being in the HUD zone?
No, we are not in the HUD zone. So InQ Hub is in the HUD zone. And so I always tell people as we're, walking through space, if they need the opportunity that HUD, requires, then I send them over to Marco to InQ Hub, because that's kind of his specialty there is that. So far, most people haven't needed the hub zone yet. So we're enterprise zone, but that's not going to help. That helps us. That doesn't help the business.
Any other questions?
Well, thank y'all for the opportunity. Appreciate it.
One second.
Yeah.
Neil,
Go ahead.
well,
I was going to ask Brian a corollary question. Go ahead.
let me say mine first. I just wanted to thank you for being here, and the partnership has been an integral part of the city and its growth for years. I know when I first went on council, I had all these misconceptions about the partnership and what they do, and over the years I've learned, they've gotten a little more diverse as far as the membership goes as well. But they've just done so many good things, and they don't always get the credit because y'all kind of work behind the scenes, and I remember when you took over tourism and you took over, you're doing something like this, and then you just, when you were in this space, you also allowed what's your training program? LEFCO.
Yes.
LEFCO, and that's very excellent. Our citizens have taken advantage of that, and I've gone there to speak a few times. So I just thank and applaud you, number one, for coming here today, and also for the work that, you know, the partnership has done over the years, regardless of the myths that's been put out, you know, about the partnership. If you really got to know the folks that are in there, the majority of them have been born and raised here, and they've become successful, and which allowed them to do what they do through the partnership and to continue to be a part of Portsmouth's growth. So thank you very much.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it.
Good.
Thank you.
Thanks, Michelle.
You don't
Hopefully everybody
have,
will come to the ribbon cutting.
okay, yeah, we'll be,
That's good.
go ahead, Nick.
My question to Brian basically is, you know, this is a, you know, basically startup and small business kind of thing. In working with a couple of other communities around the state, where I've seen a niche right now is also, in addition to that, is there's sort of a flex space where there is, you know, in the neighborhood of 5,000 square feet for a business, which is between typically 3 and 20 employees and need space. Do you have a sense for what the availability of that type of space is within the Hampton Roads area as well as Portsmouth? And is that a particular need?
Specifically, flex space.
Yeah.
And when you say flex space, you know, my definition of flex space is you know, office and warehousing to allow for, you know, contractors, you know, small operators who are maybe doing some sort of service work or distribution work or something of that nature. Is that kind of what you're?
It can be that, and you know, oftentimes it is, but sometimes it's also, you know, it could be retail, it can be, you know, service providers, et cetera.
Yeah. So I have experienced, I think many other localities have, that there is a tremendous lack of flex space throughout the region. We've experienced that here in Portsmouth. Most recently, where, you know, we've had historically areas like Port Center, you know, like the Victory Boulevard corridor has had some of that. They're fully occupied, and there's very little on the market right now. We've been speaking with owners of real estate and development groups trying to attract that to Portsmouth, because we feel our location here in Portsmouth, which is central to Hampton Roads, is ideal for having that flex space where you may have somebody who really serves the region in need of that. So to your question, you know, we have very little available. I think there is a huge demand for it, much like all other properties. Vacancy right now, we're looking at probably 1%. And that 1% traditionally represents buildings that are, you know, obsolete. And we've been working to increase our inventory, but quite frankly, we just don't have it right now. And that's a regional problem on many levels and different, you know, types of properties. But flex is one that we see every day.
Yeah, I've had a client that I've been looking for about 2 years or something like that at an affordable rate.
And we do have some that are in the development pipeline. They're just not ready.
Okay. Thank you.
I would just like to thank Michelle for coming today to present, and thank your board as well. Congratulate you on the success you've had. Co-working space really fills a niche demand that we have in Portsmouth. I think we've really seen coming out of COVID. I was kind of surprised. I wasn't really sure how that would impact the industry. But my understanding is, Michelle, you're pretty much fully occupied now. I think InQ Hub, which is another co-working space in Portsmouth, which has recently expanded as well, is nearly fully occupied also. And I think that just shows the demand that we have on small business and startups in the city. It's been something that was a void that we didn't have for many years. And I want to thank you for kind of filling that void and providing an affordable option. I think it's critical to our economy to have a location where a new fledgling small business can set up without making the long-term commitments of having a long-term lease and that financial commitment. It's really provided a much-needed product that we just didn't have. And we've been sending a lot of folks to Michelle and InQ Hub, and have also had some of her tenants contact us as they've been growing and hopefully reaching a point where they outgrow facility level. They'll need a new larger space. So that is the goal at some point to get them in a permanent location as well. So, but again, thank you for your presentation, what you all are doing. Okay. The next item is an update on the 2022 Business Investment Grant program. And this was provided in your package, but I did want to go into a little bit further detail. I was hopeful that we would be able to make this out on the screen, but I would just quickly kind of recap what is there on the screen. The slide shown is for the Real Property Investment Grant Program, one of the 3 that we launched in January. To date, we have approved, I believe it's 10 grants totaling $149,000 of the $300,000 that was allocated. So we've actually gotten halfway through the annual allocation in a very short period of time. Staff has been working very hard to review and process these applications. We have another 4 applications that are currently under review as well, for a total of 14 that we've handled in just the last 4 months. So halfway through that application. These 2 are the Smart Start Business Development Grant and Business Acceleration Grant programs. We have approved 3 of your Smart Start. This is the new business program. And that is a total of $6,000 of the $100,000 that was allocated, having been committed. We do have another 7 that are currently in the process of being reviewed. This is a little bit more time consuming because they do have to enroll in some training and educational programs. We run a Starter U program here through the Portsmouth at Work office. And that is really to educate an individual looking to start a business on the hows and whys of launching a startup. And then we put them through a second program through Santa Clara University, which really helps them develop a business plan. So a little bit more time consuming, but we have a total of 10 individuals who have enrolled in the program and have applied. And then the third is your Business Acceleration Grant. We have approved 5 grants to date, totaling $25,000. It's a $5,000 grant per business. And we have another 5 that are under review at this time. I will share with you that this has been based on the demand, a challenging program, a number of programs to administer. We will be closing the round for the fiscal year effective April 30th. And that is really tied to some capacity issues and with some of the staffing changes that we have coming up. We felt it necessary to close this round at the end of the month. So we have posted notification of that to our website, working to notify any of the businesses that we've been working with directly or who have expressed an interest in the program of this. And that will afford us the ability to handle everything that we have in process now and closing that out by the end of the fiscal year, June 30th. Our hope and goal is to be fully staffed in order to relaunch programs as of July 1. So did want to share that with you to let you know that's the status. I think the really important thing to note is in a 4-month process, we have essentially allocated 50% of what would be an annual amount of funding. And that I think is tied to a lot of the outreach we've done and also the demand that we had because the program was launched later on. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have. Again, this was provided in the package, and there is some additional information in the report with respect to the types of businesses that have been participating.
So April 30th, closing the round of new applicants to try to catch up with what's.
Correct. April 30th, this round will close for the fiscal year. That will allow for us to process anybody that has either already submitted an application or has an application prior to that.
And that's for both levels of this.
That's for all 3 programs. So the real property investment grant and then the 2 smart start business grants.
All right, thank you.
You both pushing.
Okay. We do have an application for your consideration this morning. It's one of our real property investment grant applications, and I think you might recognize the name when Ms. Osborne presents it. So, Jenny, I'll turn it over to you.
Good morning. So this morning, the application for your consideration is for Realmark Sharp LLC, which will be doing business as Harbor Trail Brewing Company. They have purchased the building at 5900 Churchland Boulevard. That was a former bank. It sat vacant for many years, so it's great that they've been able to acquire and renovate a building that has served the city no purpose for a very long time now. You can see here we have a before and after. The after is pretty close to up to date, but it actually looks even better than that now. And it's hard to make out, but in the rendering, you might be able to see that they have enclosed what used to be the drive-through area as a outdoor seating and patio space that will also service their guests in nicer weather and not be subject to rain or whatever. So today, this organization is seeking, I want you to make note, this is their second request. So they did have a $10,000 initial request that was reviewed administratively. In addition to purchasing the building, they have invested over $200,000 in their renovation and working with the city. And so here's some of the after photos of the interior, some upgrades that have taken place, just a few. I'm kidding, that's a lot. Yes, so today what they're asking for is a total of $8,393 additional dollars, which is 50% of the cost to on top of the $200 that they've already invested. This money will be utilized to make parking lot and driveway required upgrades. There is a slide here that shows some of the city requirements that have been asked of them. They're needing to add, in addition to surfacing that parking lot driveway space, they've had to curb and close off some of the original access. When it was a bank, they had more access and more openings than they needed for this purpose. So they're adding spaces, they're adding lines, they're adding curbing to protect the, these will be curbs that will be put in here to protect this outdoor space and handicap accessible spaces. So you can see they're adding 19 additional, I think, or the 13 additional spaces in the back here that didn't used to exist that needs to be surfaced. So that is what this round of funding is being requested for. So there are 3 quotes that are in your packet. This is by far the least expensive. They're a local company. Unfortunately, they're in Suffolk, not Portsmouth. But they will be seeking that funding to provide this pretty close to final phase of the project, and they're hoping to open by Memorial Day. Does anyone have any questions?
This business, they are part of that Suffolk, what they actually do the brewing.
No, this is an independent organization. They're using a Suffolk paving company to provide the services for parking lot renovations or upgrades. So, yes, no, they're an independent organization. No.
And they will be brewing.
They will. They'll be brewing on site. They purchased all the equipment. And it will provide some jobs. I don't know the exact number of jobs, but they'll have a brewmaster and they'll have servers and that sort of thing. So they will be providing some job opportunities as well.
Yeah, I'm a retired beer drinker, but I'm always interested in to know exactly what, when somebody advertises as a brewing company, that they are going to be brewing on the site.
Yes, in one of the photos, you can see a little bit of the equipment that they had purchased and placed, but they do have in the back here.
Right,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, but that is a pretty large space, and they have some fairly expensive equipment that they
Right.
purchased to use in that space.
Just looking out for the beer drinker.
Yes, thank you. As a beer drinker, I appreciate you looking out for me.
The 8393 that they're requesting is 50% of the money that they need to do the parking development.
It is, yes. The quote that they selected was almost $17,000 in, which includes the curbing that needs to be, the resurfacing and the additional spaces, lines, the whole, everything you saw in that rendering.
Gotcha.
Any other questions?
Move approval.
Oh, okay.
I do have one more question.
Sorry about
So they're requesting money from us, but the services that they're going to use to do the actual is a Suffolk business.
Yes. APD, I believe it's called, is a Suffolk business.
Do we not have a Portsmouth paving business that we could kind of like recommend they use?
I don't know.
Keep the money in house.
Yeah, we always recommend that a business that's making improvements comes to utilize a Portsmouth contractor if possible. In fact, we include that in the application. I believe in their situation, they had 3 quotes that were obtained. I'm not sure the other 2, if they were, either of those were Portsmouth-based business, but here's their low bid was from a
Branch
company outside
Industries
of-
was a Virginia Beach organization.
I'm aware of one in Portsmouth, and so I'll get you that information, but I know this is not about this process. But.
Right. Unfortunately, we can't require that they use
Yeah.
a Portsmouth contractor, but we highly encourage it. Highly encourage it.
I think Councilman Battle had a question.
So are they a subsidiary, meaning is this the first production company, or is this another production company from the same business group?
No, they're not affiliated with any other breweries in the area. They're a single source, single entity.
Just again.
Mm-hmm. Yes, they're a startup.
Independent.
This is an individual who, this is not their day job. This is this I think was a hobby that kind of turned into a business opportunity.
Like putting off.
So you say we have something, a stipulation that says that we recommend they use Portsmouth businesses, but we can't demand it?
No, not as against the law.
It's against the law to demand that they use a Portsmouth business?
To tell any private entity,
But they're not.
you know, who to use. It's their freedom, their prerogative, based on their bid process, who they select. I'm correct.
Yes.
You want to go ahead again?
There's a motion by Mr. Barber.
Motion to approve.
Second it.
Okay, and a second by Mr. Drury. Thank you. So, okay, I'll
Yes.
keep it roll. There's no further discussion. Mr. Barber,
Aye.
Ms. Drury,
Yes.
Mr. Brown,
No.
Sandra Smith,
Yeah.
Ms. Smith,
Yes.
and Mr. Smith.
Yes.
Item is adopted.
Thank you.
Okay, your final new business item is discussion of your FY 2023 budget. We are in budget season, and it will be necessary to have a new operating budget for EDA effective July 1st. Excuse me. So our process will be to begin the process of putting that budget together, to bring that before you for presentation at your May meeting with adoption in June. Staff's recommendation would be to look at carrying forward your existing budget. I think there are some line items that we had identified that we hadn't had an opportunity to utilize yet. And I think the programs that were established and funded based on development experience, I think we could look at maintaining those line items for your business investment grant programs at a similar level as well. So essentially providing kind of a flat budget for your consideration. Certainly open any input direction that you might have at this time, but that would be what we would bring before you at your May meeting.
Right. Well, I think we need to establish, like we normally do, a budget committee, a couple of people to relook at our budget and work along with staff. If you see any reasons or any changes that we ought to make, or we want to accept what we normally do. So I'd like to Ms. Drury and I think who worked on it last time?
Neil.
Yeah, you, okay. But Ms. Saunders this time.
Okay.
To get the budget and look at it and see if we need to make any tweaks, any changes. If not, just, you know, you can report to Brian as to any issues or anything that you think we might want to change, and then he'll bring that back to us. Okay? All right.
Okay, so staff will reach out and we'll coordinate a meeting and follow discussion. Okay. Okay, that takes care of our new business. We do have a need for a closed meeting to discuss an item. So we are in a motion, I believe, Mr. Drury. Copy that.
I move to go into a closed meeting pursuant to Virginia Code subsection 2.2-3711A.3 for the purpose of discussing the acquisition of real property where discussion in an open meeting would adversely affect the bargaining position or negotiating strategy of the public body, specifically regarding strategic acquisitions. Second.
Thank you, Ms. Sandra Smith. The roll, Mr. Barber,
Aye.
Ms. Drury,
Yes.
Mr. Brown,
Yes.
Sandra Smith,
Yeah.
Ms. Smith,
Yes.
Mr. Smith.
Yes. No.
I hereby move that each commissioner certify that, to the best of his or her knowledge, only public business matters lawfully exempted from open meeting requirements under the Virginia Freedom of Information Act, and only such business matters as were identified in the motion by which the closed meeting was convened were heard, discussed, or considered in the closed meeting just concluded.
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Saunders Smith. Mr. Barber?
Aye.
Mr. Drury?
Aye.
Mr. Brown?
Yes.
Ms. Saunders Smith?
Yeah.
Ms. Smith?
Yes.
Mr. Smith?
Yes.
Motion passes. We are back in open session. And the next item for you is items submitted by board members.
I did have a question. Who in the staff, or is there someone on the staff who really follows up on social media? I just noticed in the month of March, it hit me on all the Portsmouth like Facebook pages, Voices of Portsmouth and blah, blah, blah. That anything related to economic development, is there someone that, those come to and y'all respond to them? Or if we see that, should we just, send them on to you? I never respond. I'm assuming maybe y'all
You
reach
can
out.
send that to me.
Okay.
And I'll see that it's addressed if it's a related item. All members of the team have a presence on social media, on various platforms, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. We're fairly active. We do, depending on what it is, certain members handle it.
Okay.
If there's something specific you come across, you can send that to my attention.
Okay.
And I'll see that it's addressed.
Well, there was one where it was about trash and I was thinking, I think we own that. So.
Any other items?
Anybody else have any items?
No. Who's our guest speaker next month?
We had asked for requests to be submitted to the vice chair. So any additional guest speaker requests, if you would please submit them to Mr. Mitchell. I believe he's keeping a list. If you submitted those previously, I would have to check with Mr. Mitchell.
Yeah.
I know there have been a number of requests that have been made. I think Bloom was the first.
I requested the visitors bureau.
Yeah.
Tourism.
Yeah.
So that I
He's
know
got
is
that.
one. So I will check with Mr. Mitchell and see what's on the agenda.
Okay.
Chair, we don't have any report backs. I think we've covered everything during the course of the meeting.
Really?
I think so.
You mean that's it?
I believe so.
Well, let's go. Thanks everybody for being here and undivided attention, especially to our Councilman Battle and to our city manager, who's faithful. Thank you. Hearing no other matters to come before us, I will adjourn this meeting.
Thank you all.